Chelsea, are we good?
Yep, I can unmute whenever you're ready.
Tracy, are you good?
I'm ready.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
McIntyre? Here. Peter?
Here.
DeCook?
Here, we have a quorum. If you will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any agenda deletions or corrections? Seeing none, we'll start with our consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be enacted by one motion. A, I have a claims figure of $1,673,659.28. Fringes in the amount of $63.34. B, prior minutes to approve 11/16/2021 regular meeting, 11/17/2021 special meeting, 11/23/2021 work session, 11/23/2021 special meeting. D, employee payroll removal, Brittany Weber, home health care aide, health department effective December 2, 2021. E, resignation of Cutter, Nelson, and secondary roads department effective November 19, 2021. F, approved 6-month pay increase for Dustin Ryland, going to motor grader operator 2, effective December 1, 2021. G, approved step increase for Chad Elliott, effective December 23, 2021. H, approved step increase for Brian Lester, retroactive to November 25, 2021. I, approved new employee Ryan Downing, Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office, effective November 29, 2021. J, approved new employee Shelly Wakeman, part-time clerk, Auditor's Office, effective November 22, 2021. K, approved employee rehire Jack Eichholz, zoning assistant, zoning department, effective December 20th, 2021. L, set public hearing for possible road classification change from level B to level C on Tyler Street, west of 58th Avenue on December 21st, 2021 at 6:10 p.m. And M, set a public hearing date for 12/21/2021 for 6:15 p.m. for Jonathan Hyde for consideration of rezoning application from FPC floodplain conservation to A1 agricultural district. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Is there any discussion from the board? Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
DeCook?
Motion carries. Number 2 on our agenda today is approved fuel bid for the 2022 calendar year for the secondary roads department. Good morning, Steve.
Morning. So we have 3 total quotes on our yearly bids for fuel. The first quote's Heartland Co-op at $854,299.60. The second is Agriland FS Incorporated at $822,033.60. And then the final one, James Oil Company LLC at $804,855.10. So we recommend you take the lowest qualified bidder on this one, James Oil Company, at the $804,855.10. If there's any questions, let me know.
Are there any questions from the board?
Is this who we do get our fuel? Have we used this James Oil Company in the past?
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
And we've had Agriland win the bid before in the past as well. It's some of the 3 local companies. I know ownership changes with companies sometimes, but they still hire local employees.
Sure.
So.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Okay.
Do you have a motion from the board?
Make a motion to approve the fuel bid as outlined by our engineer.
A second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
DeCook?
Aye. Motion carries. Number 3 on the agenda is approve additional stop signs at the intersection of 220th and Roosevelt Street.
So we got a call from a resident in the area, stating he felt the intersection may be unsafe. It's currently a two-way stop condition on the north and south side of the four-way intersection. We did take a look at it. It would have made more sense if they would have put the two-way condition on the other side, the east and west side. But trying to change a two-way from south and north to a two-way east and west, I don't feel safe either, so we've decided that it'd be best to make it an all-way stop condition, because as you're looking to the west at the north stop sign, there is a blind spot there, and it is hard to see oncoming traffic for just an instant. So we think his concerns were valid in that case, so we think a four-way stop would be best.
I'll make a motion to approve the change in the stop sign pointed out by our engineer.
I'll second.
Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, roll call please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. And number 4, approve entrance variance application for Benjamin and Hannah Miller.
So Ben's here today, so I'll let him speak when I'm done. We were asked to review an existing field entrance that they desire to one day change to residential use with an address. Just the facts of it, the existing field entrance has 395 feet of site distance, which is 105 feet short of the 500-foot minimum requirement. The map I've handed to you on the northeast part shows in that light blue cyan color all the areas that would work along that frontage. I believe he's moved some dirt out there. I know he desires to use the field entrance, but our office isn't seeing a lot of undue hardship, other than field entrance has been there for several years, and they haven't had an incident there yet, but when you go to a residential use, you're obviously gonna increase the traffic quite a bit, but I can let him speak on his behalf, so.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ben Miller. I currently live in Jasper County, specifically in Newton. And I'm here to request a variance to be granted for a property that he described. It's near 24568 Nevada Street in Pleasantville, so it's right on the Marion County and Warren County county line. This property was my great-grandfather's, and my wife and 3 young children are planning on building our forever home there, in our dream home. We would be the 4th and 5th generations to live there. We designed the home and had the dirt path completed, planning on using the existing field entrance as our driveway. This field entrance has the 395 feet of site distance that he described. That's nearly 80% of the requested distance to the west, and more than enough site distance to the east. The current field drive has been in existence for over 55 years and used frequently with no incident. Our driveway will have a turnaround in it as well, so that will allow us to never have to back out into the drive, that we'd always be heading forward. Additionally, an overwhelming amount of our travel will be leaving to the east where there is sufficient site distance. With the limited amount of traffic, the history of the field entrance being safe, and my willingness to pay for proper signage where there isn't enough site distance, like a sign that says farm entrance ahead or something, I'd be willing to pay for that. I think it'd be reasonable for variance to be granted. I greatly appreciate your time, and my family looks forward to becoming members of Warren County. I did take some pictures. They're not the best. So this is kind of at the top of the hill, where probably it'd make most sense to have a sign if this would be granted. This is facing west, and then can you go to the next one? So this is kind of like where the driveway would start, facing west. And then the last picture that's facing east, giving us plenty of sight distance. So requesting us to put, it's like 100-foot frontage road, just it kind of messes up the flow of the property. And like I said, we have already completed the pad work for the property, or for the home. So it kind of was designed to be able to just drive right into the garage. So that's what I have. So again, I appreciate your guys' time, and look forward to moving to Warren County soon. So thank you.
Thank you.
I see Lindsay's back there. Lindsay, do you have any comments? Thoughts?
Like David stated, they had actually called in to start an address, and the pad was already actually started before any of the preliminary work for this was done. So they hadn't really even contacted our office and done a plat of survey and had that approval done before they had visited with David and I. So actually, I know David had gone out there, and then Carrie and I had gone out. It is really at the top of the crest of the hill. There is plenty of room to move it to the east, but it's kind of whatever your thoughts are. Like David said, if you do add a residence, it does add traffic, so it is right at the top of the crest of the hill. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Any final thoughts, David? You're opposed on this one?
I mean, that purple line on the map is 175 feet to get it to meet our regulations. Even if there's some middle ground where we can move it at 150 or 125 feet, it's gonna be far safer. When they come in, it's a 490 foot sight distance, 480 foot, or sometimes we just go ahead and approve it, especially if the car's stopping uphill, or on a flatter surface versus stopping downhill. But
Any other traffic counts on the road?
I don't know that off the top of my head. No, it's very low though. It's far east side of the county, almost the eastern county line. So I'd imagine it can't be more than 30 or 40 at the most. I don't know that off the top of my head.
What's the speed limit there right now?
55.
I guess just from speaking of growing up there, it was 10, 15 cars a day. I guess I don't know, I never counted.
Yeah, it's very low.
I would say 30 or 40 seems pretty high.
Yeah, but it's,
So, yeah.
yeah, he's right. I'm sure it's not more than 30 or 40 at all.
I should add too that I did talk to, because it was Chad Daniels that did your survey.
Chad did.
Yep, and Chad did say, even though the pad is there, and if they did have to move it down some, he said, obviously it wouldn't be ideal for them, but they could put their drive in and come up to where their pad is already. It wouldn't be like they would have to move their pad if that was what their ideal building site is. They might just have to have a different driveway coming up to it. They could probably make it work,
So it's a pretty crude drawing, but he was talking about a horseshoe driveway. I don't know if they could do something like that, and then.
And so it wouldn't be a horseshoe driveway, we'd more have like a place where you would be able to back up and
Okay.
then turn around.
It's pretty hard to draw on any conflict. Would you be willing to do something of that nature?
I guess kind of my concern is, the added cost, and then again, I guess, maybe shame on me for, I did call the zoning and stuff before we really had all this stuff rolling. This is currently my dad's property, so it wasn't a problem, doing the pad before it was in our name. But I guess a couple of people I talked to, not with the county, but just locally, a gentleman who did our pad and stuff,
I kind of was under the impression that the existing entrance was gonna work because it was already an entrance. And I guess obviously I'm wrong about that, but, we'd just really not like to add a frontage, 175-foot frontage road. Right now, it's currently designed to just do one straight shot into the thing. I have 3 young children, 6 and under, so I'm not gonna be putting them in, if I didn't feel comfortable, if my wife didn't feel comfortable doing that, we wouldn't. I wouldn't put them in danger like that, so, I guess that's kind of where I stand on it right now, so.
So I guess my closing statement would be, I'm having a hard time seeing the undue hardship in this one, and I mean, he's a super nice guy, but I just can't. I'm not seeing as much undue hardship as we've seen in the past, where we've had more difficult topography or things of that nature. So, but that's entirely up to you. If you choose to do so, we'll have to put up some sort of warning sign. So, thank you.
Discussion from the board?
I do believe
More questions?
we need to do things right the first time, especially if we have the opportunity to. And I think it'll be better for it in the long run.
Supervisor Hader?
Based on the low traffic and that, it's a difficult situation because, our engineer is one of the best in the state of Iowa, in my opinion, and we pretty much follow his recommendation to a T for the most part, but from a safety perspective, I would be apt to approve the variance, just in my read on this situation. You're very conscientious, you've thought this through, you know the property, you understand the safety aspects. So, if there were a motion to approve the variance, I'd probably second the motion.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion to approve the insurance variance application for Benjamin and Hannah Miller.
Discussion.
Most of the time when you do build homes, other people feel like the door is open to build more homes. So I can see this becoming a more populated area, so.
Chelsea, can I see the pictures again? It's the issue's the short sight distance going to the west, right? And you're pulling out and taking a right-hand turn to go east? Or is
Correct, yeah, so we'd be.
Are you taking a left-hand turn to go?
So we'd be pulling out of the driveway and turning right to head east, and just kind of the natural,
I got it.
I guess how we do, most of our activities are gonna be in the east, so that's primarily where we'll be traveling. We won't be turning up into that short distance way.
Or at least that's frequently, sure. Okay, so that's going east with plenty of, there's the rub.
And that road right there is at the top of the hill.
So once you're at the top of the hill, it flattens out and it's straight for a long time.
Correct.
Any other photo you want to see?
That's good. Okay. We have a motion. It looks like we sort of have a split here. I mean, it's not really my preference to grant this variance. Generally, I don't usually want to grant them, especially if our engineer is saying no, or move the pad, or it doesn't maybe rise to the level of an undue hardship, at least according to him. I get all that. But in this case, if there's really 10 or 15 cars on the road, you're going east most of the time. You want to pay for, or call and make the inquiries and figure it out in advance, but, yeah, I'll second the motion. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Nay.
Peter,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we'll grant it, with the condition that signage is paid, and, I'd like to see some slow down ahead signs or entrance.
Would you like to add that to your motion, or would you like to make a new motion to include the payment of signage?
I'll make a new motion to include the payment of any and all signage, regarding, home entrance and or if there's a speed change or caution heading in the signage or by the homeowner.
For the Miller driveway variance.
For the Miller driveway variance, yes.
I'll second.
And we've got a nay. Darren?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Next up, number 5 on our agenda today is consider resolution approving a comprehensive solid waste management plan update number 8 with possible action. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning. HLW Engineering Group has sent a proposed resolution regarding the county's participation in the comprehensive solid waste reduction program consistent with waste management hierarchy within the state of Iowa. This allows for the sanitary disposal of the final disposal of solid waste by the county's residents at the South Central Iowa Sanitary Landfill Agency. This would be an update. The county has approved this before by resolution, the comprehensive plan, so this would be the 8th update that would be approved this time. The resolution would be that it is hereby resolved by the county that the proposed comprehensive plan update is hereby adopted as the comprehensive solid waste reduction plan, and Warren County is committed to the state of Iowa 25% and 50% waste reduction and recycling goals. That goal has not changed. That is the goal that was in the prior plan as well. Be it further resolved that Warren County shall implement and participate in programs set forth in the comprehensive plan update, and be it further resolved that the comprehensive plan update should be submitted to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources on behalf of Warren County in satisfaction of section 455B.306, parens 1 of the Code of Iowa.
Make a motion to approve the resolution for the comprehensive solid waste management plan update number 8.
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Roll call, please, Tracy.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Number 6 on the agenda is consider agreement between Warren County and Catherine Bussett regarding use of storage shed with possible action.
David has the history on how long this storage shed has been used by the county engineering department to store equipment that's used out in the field. We were contacted by the Busmus family to put together an agreement so the county can continue to use the property, but also allow them an opportunity to sell the property and for the county to remove its equipment at some point in the future when they're ready to sell. What I had included in the board packet is that agreement between Catherine Busmus and Warren County. We constructed this, I worked with David to construct this agreement, and also the other parties, Ms. Busmus and her representatives. So we're asking the board to approve the agreement between Warren County and Catherine Busmus regarding the county's use of a storage shed on parcel number 09000100426. This is over in the Prowl area.
Great.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I'm glad that we've reduced it to a writing. That's probably helpful going forward. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting is going quickly today.
Yes.
Number 7, we've got a presentation from Luke Nelson, City Administrator of Norwalk, regarding a project partnership for county ARPA funds. Good morning, Luke.
You had to say the meeting was going quick right before I got here.
Wow, we're on a trend here.
These are paper copies just in case something goes wrong with the presentation. As Supervisor Cook said, I'm Luke Nelson with the City of Norwalk, City Manager. And with me, I've invited several of our A-team from the city to join and be able to answer any questions that I can't cover. Already having technical difficulties. Apologize. All right, hopefully that works like it's supposed to. So again, Luke Nelson with me. Gene Kelly is our Finance Director. Holly Zychek, Economic Development Director. Wayne Schwartz is our Public Works Director, and Luke Paris, Community Development. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. There's only really 6 meaningful slides here, so feel free to interrupt at any point in time. And if there are questions I can't answer, these intelligent people will be able to. So just to give you a general overview of what this request is, first of all, I want you to know that I am aware that you are going to have a formal application process for the ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan Act dollars. Our proposal is to be able to serve a next certified site. As you are aware, I've explained to you before that we filled up our initial certified site with 2 key businesses, Michael Foods and Windsor Windows. And we are looking to significantly expand that site, but a key part of that is to provide sanitary sewer. So this map looks a little bit messy, so I just want to make sure everybody has context on the area that we're talking. First, anything in purple there is the city of Norwalk. Highway 28, going north-south. Way over on the left, or the west-hand side, is Interstate 35. The existing certified site that's full, it's a flashing star. The yellow, this is actually a project that the Warren County Supervisors dedicated funds, $250,000, to help us pave Delaware Avenue, which opened up that first certified site. The red lines is the approximate location where the sanitary sewer would be placed. And the pink lines that you see on the east there, right in this location, that's the existing WRA interceptor that's along the southern edge of Norwalk. And then the general location of our next certified site. So anytime that we do projects or we invest, especially when it's with economic development, we like to do an ROI, or return on investment. It's a little bit different. So many services that government provides, there is no return on investment. It's just dollars that we expend. However, in economic development, that's not the case because there are revenues that come back. So just to give you an idea, so this is the first certified site, which is the Delaware Project. The local contribution that we put in was $689,000, $250,000 that came from Warren County, thank you. And these were the portions that were given to us from the state of Iowa through the RISE, Revitalize Iowa Sound Economy. What the county did is, you said over a 10-year cycle will provide $25,000 a year. So we did some calculations on what the first certified site built out is producing for the county for revenues. So just for your protected levy or your debt service levy, you're generating about $34,000 a year. So it's almost $10,000 in advance of the $25,000 a year over those first 10 years. So roughly speaking, probably 6 to 7 years, you would see a full payback on that initial investment. Complete build out of the site. Holly has had some indications that there may be some expansions to those existing facilities. Both Michael Foods and Windsor Windows purposefully purchased enough land so that they could do expansions. So we just plugged in some rough numbers on what their potential growth would be, along with some of the Dunn property, which is just south of Delaware, that can also be served from that paved street and the sanitary sewer in that location. So roughly speaking, from that full build out, you would generate about $86,000 a year just for debt service. Once we've seen the sunset on TIF, then your full levy would generate about $540,000. And we've estimated that we should have that paid down in about 10 years. Now in year 10, if council decides to use those TIF funds elsewhere, that remains to be seen. But according to the current plan, that's the approximate time frame. And just to give you a little context, it's always nice to be able to compare the impacts of commercial and industrial compared to residential. So I took the area of Twin Lakes, which is just adjacent east of Norwalk, but within Warren County. Fully built out, there would be about 35 homes on 104 acres. County revenue, assuming a 9.5 rural levy, generates about $84,000. So it just puts into context how that value of commercial and industrial so much higher and in such a condensed area. Our certified site, the existing one, was 60 acres. Any questions on that?
What's the new certified site's acreage?
We're estimating that that one would be closer to about 250 acres, significantly larger. I know that one of Holly's challenges, even on the first certified site, that many people that are looking to construct, even the size of that site was a bit of an issue for us. So having a much larger area, the fact that we were successful in the first one, we're setting our sights a little bit bigger now. So this is the proposal, Certified Site 2.0, and to just put together some estimates of the kind of value that could be generated in that location. I plugged in just 4 times the amount from the first one, what those potential valuations would be. The amount that you would get from your debt service levy is about $200,000. If there's no TIF involved, you're getting your full levy. That would generate about $1.3 million per year.
Thinking you don't annex it.
What's that?
Thinking you don't annex that.
Well, actually, I believe part of what I calculated here, and Gene, you'll have to jump in and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is assuming that it's annexed. That's still the portion that would go to the county.
Great. Okay.
So there is an assumption of it being annexed. Now, if it wasn't, certainly those numbers would be a lot larger. It's a good question.
You guys can build, and the other cities can build anywhere in rural Warren County that you like. That would be fine with us. But yes, I think they're gonna.
So I pulled what's on the left there, the request, cost estimate, and time frame. These are 3 items that come from your application form. So I thought I would just summarize those. The request will be $2 million from the ARPA funds to assist with the sanitary sewer. The overall cost estimate of the project is approximately $5.2 million. That includes acquisition, engineering, and of course construction of that sewer. The time frame, right now, the projected completion date would be fiscal year 26. That's assuming that we achieve this grant from you folks and council's on board to expend some of those funds. If we have a situation where we have an interested party in developing there, that could advance that project to happen sooner. But my understanding is that the fiscal year 26, Gene, still meets that timeline restricted by ARPA?
We have to designate the project for 24, expend the funds by 26.
Okay. So one of the key questions also that our council asked us, because by the way, incidentally, we're using our ARPA funds to install a new water main along Wright Road that loops in the east side of our community. It's somewhat of a backup, kind of some redundancy in our system, but as well as being able to accommodate further growth pressures that we're seeing in that southeast part of town. One of the questions we had to ask is that a legal and legitimate use of ARPA funds? There's a lot of text there. This is something that your legal counsel will probably want to review as part of the application, but we believe that on page 17 of those interim final rules, it does identify investments in infrastructure as allowable expense. That's it.
So the investment you made with your ARPA funds is related to the certified site or unrelated to the certified site?
Unrelated.
Unrelated,
So
but
just-
supportive of it.
So where we're looking to spend our ARPA funds is along Wright Road here.
Okay. Okay.
And that serves some of the growth, it's off the map, but over here to the southeast part of our community.
Okay. Can you talk just a little bit about your experience with certified sites and their validity in economic development? Like, is this almost a proven concept, and is it almost guaranteed? I guess is what I want to try to figure out. That if we build it, the companies will come. Do we know? Is that a certainty, or is there a chance that we build it and they don't come? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to give you one thought, and then I bet Holly's itching to respond to that as well. The main thing I will tell you is that there are site selectors. So large companies will hire site selectors to go out and find locations for them to locate. What we've learned is site selectors aren't looking for successful sites. They're looking for sites that don't work so they can check them off the list. What they end up with are solid sites that can move forward. Having a certified site, for so many reasons, addresses all those things why they would normally check a site off the list. You may not have a willing property owner. You may not have water or sewer to the site. You may not have transportation access. So all those things they look for to check us off the list, having the certified site assures them that they can move that forward and put on their list for their clients. So for that reason, the fact that it removes us from that do not go list significantly advances us in being more successful. Holly, do you have any other thoughts to add?
The other thing I would maybe add is that we probably received about 20 leads from the state of Iowa in the last year for really large manufacturing industrial companies looking. And we are always on the top of the list because of the location of our site, I-35, and just everything about the community and the proximity to the airport. But we always lose because we're not certified, we're not shovel ready. And so that's one thing that's a little bit concerning to me, is that as the industrial side of just the commercial industry in general continues to grow, I feel like we're being left behind if we don't have a certified site. And when we finish this one, I want to say, when we were in maybe within a year of finishing that certified site, we had both of those companies locked into that. I mean, it was so fast.
Yeah, and the other thing that we're not talking about here with the certified site process is that the sewer infrastructure is just one part of that. There's this whole big long study that goes, and you do your archaeological study, you do wetland mitigation, you do everything you need to do for that site to get it ready so that somebody can show up and start digging a hole to start building a building. And so setting that stuff all up for somebody ahead of time just makes things move faster. And when other places in the metro or in the state already have those, like Hallie said, we're kind of one step behind in that process for this property. Having the Knox property all set up for that, like I said, it was almost like having a pad-ready site off a highway just ready to go. So.
And it also puts us into the state's marketing program. So in the state, the Iowa Economic Development Authority, they manage this certified site process, of course, so the application, everything goes through them. So once you're in that, you have a certified site, they market your site to the world. And they literally travel all over the world looking for companies. So otherwise, we're just out there scrounging on our own to find companies. So it's a little harder to compete.
So your question, does it make it a sure thing? Unfortunately, the answer is no. It doesn't make it a sure thing, but based on these things you're hearing, even the input that I give you, certainly it advances this as a much more likely scenario of success.
Yeah, I have yet to find a sure thing in the county government or in business, or there is no such thing, so it's kind of a rhetorical question, but I just wanted to get a feel for the level of success that's possible.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Just an observation, I'm overall supportive, I'm not positive on the number yet, but I'm generally quite supportive of a second larger certified site for the reasons that you stated. I think that the proximity to Des Moines, I mean, with Cumming just picking up the highway distribution center, I mean, it's not a secret. There's a large population center close, and for an improvement to the tax base, it's very appealing to me. It also provides a pretty solid return, maybe a 10-year payback-ish. I don't have a ton of faith that the TIF would sunset after 10 years, but I suppose anything's possible. But can you speak a little bit to west of the certified site, because there's quite a bit of acres that are sort of west of there. If there's sewer brought to this site, is that going to increase Norwalk's future expansion availability for some, does that open up some maybe residential or other sorts of development? I mean, I know that the carrot, if you will, for this board is, here's what 200 acres of certified site looks like, and here's the tax payback, I get that. But is there something beyond that that maybe we're not even addressing as far as future growth and increase in tax base from the infrastructure?
It's a great question. It's what I was going to touch on, that this certified site is really, as big as it would be, is really only a small part of what Norwalk is researching and looking at right now. Part of what Luke Paris and his team are working on is a land use plan that shows what this entire area looks like as part of our 2040 comprehensive plan. Within the next couple weeks, we're going to be going to City Council with an engineering contract, scope of services, that looks at what a southern loop connector would look like for transportation coming in this area. That sanitary sewer that you're talking about, does it serve just this area? No. You can see these draws right here, drainage areas. Right now, there is a crest of a hill that runs right along the top of this map. Everything from that crest south would be ultimately served by a continuation of that sanitary sewer. So does it serve more than just those 250 or 400 acres in that immediate area? Yes. And by the way, one thing, I haven't been down here in a while to give you folks an update, but just the other day, we're talking about commercial and industrial growth, but the stuff you're talking about, that really gets more into the residential side of things. Luke Paris brought up that, what are our permit numbers for single family and townhomes there?
293 as of yesterday.
So for 2021, we've now exceeded, I think, our highest year.
About 20, we've exceeded our highest year. Probably, we'll beat 300, I would assume, by the end of December. So we've got projects that just got approved that people will pull permits on within the next few weeks.
So not just exceeding, but significantly, more than 10% exceeded our peak year. So we're only seeing some of that momentum build up. And if we find ourselves in a situation where we run out of developable land without having sanitary sewer service, just because we know that's the most difficult to provide, certainly we would be at a disadvantage. So a lot of this is, some would argue, maybe too forward thinking, but what we found is, as swiftly as things can take off and grow, we want to be prepared.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Nelson and the team?
Just, I want to compliment the city of Norwalk and your people and your planning and your presentation. You're obviously proactively looking to grow the community, and that's to be commended from my perspective.
Excellent.
Good
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this is a part of our team, but I really think that our staff, our department heads make such a huge difference in thinking forward and talking through all these issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Again, just for my benefit, I think we've got an April deadline for non-department heads applications. So this is very helpful. We are starting to generate requests from internal, but I'm sure that some external ones are coming. But it's always nice to be out in front. So I like it. And we'll look forward to an application, which you can submit that prior to it. It's just we're gonna look at internal applications in December, some January decisions, but we'll take your application when you're ready. All right, number 8 on the agenda today is receive and file reports. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right, I've got 2 reports, Hayakota and the VA. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to receive and file these reports from Hayakota and VA.
Second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. They are filed. Supervisors report. One of you like to go first?
I attended a board meeting where there was a review of the Sheriff's Office budget for jailers, toured the Warren County Justice Center with Jerry Evans and his staff from the 5th Judicial District Department of Corrections, and discussed his space with Jamie Morawski. Aging Resources Board of Directors meeting, Warren County Joint 911 Service Board meeting, conducted an exit interview with HR. Board work session, legislative luncheon hosted by Carlisle Chamber at the Somerset Winery. And finally, a special meeting with the Board of Supervisors. I do want to point out, however, that there is, to our constituents who are 60 years or older, that there's a program offered by our Easter Seals that's beneficial to them, as well as any 18-year-old with a disability and older. It's called the Assistive Technology Loan. They have a library as well, but this is separate. It's $750 inclusive or in combination with your money to assist with technology necessary for the ease of living. So go to the easterseals.com in the Des Moines area for further information. That's my report.
Thank you. Derek?
Yes, thank you. Had a meeting with the new elected mayor here in Indianola to talk about just issues, prevalent issues going on in our community. And I think just the summary of the meeting is that I think we're going to find the new mayor to be cooperative and collaborative and work with the county in a positive way. We seem to be in good alignment, and it was a good meeting. I came out of the meeting with a positive feel for the change. IMU has brought forward a cost for bringing fiber out to our new engineering building and to our conservation group. So there's a meeting today at 11 o'clock after this meeting to learn more about that and figure out different payment cycles. It's not a small number. And we'll be talking, I'll bring this to the work session, next work session, to see what the feel of the board is. There's been a committee formed just in the last 30 days or so, driven by Helping Hand of Indianola, and on the committee has been local police, local city council members, and I was asked to be involved in this committee But it's basically the essence of this committee is to figure out how to lift people up from a perspective of affordable housing. And there's a lot of good discussions. We have people from our county involved in this committee as well, Betsy Sturzla and Rachel from Economic Development. Doug Schull has attended a meeting, and it's just a good group of people trying to figure out a way to have the most impact, the most positive impact on some people in our community that are less fortunate. And we have some ideas, and those ideas will be coming forward to the supervisors as well. There's been multiple Warren County Justice Center meetings. As we spin down to the end of this project, there seems like there's more and more activity. And there's a few fairly pressing issues that will be presented to the Board of Supervisors in the next work session, but it's something that I need to get on your radar screen. Nothing of a showstopper mentality or anything hugely significant, but there are things that the board should be aware of, and I'll be bringing those. I wanted to thank Kirk Baker for going out and finding a new supplier for our landscaping and snow removal. We had been given a new bid from our current supplier, and Kirk had went out and found a supplier that saved the county a significant amount of money, and that's the kind of activity that we need more of here in our county, where we're hypersensitive for the dollars that we're spending and looking at the value of each dollar, and I think that Kirk did a good job of that. So I wanted to just throw out a thank you very much for taking the time to look at the cost and finding a solution that serves all of Warren County. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. I agree with the last sentiment there too. I talked to Kirk about that as well. I told him really pleased with it. So my report, I'll keep it really brief. We did the meetings, the work sessions and specials. Since our last meeting, I would say I spent a fair amount of time actually in the regulations with ARPA dollars, because I felt like I wanted to get a better grasp for myself, as opposed to relying upon other people's interpretations. I wanted to actually read it to sort of delineate what's allowable. I then created sort of a generic list of some things that I thought would make sense. I brought those to the board in a work session. None of those things have to do, but I just wanted to start thinking beyond what we'll be receiving from our department heads, and some of that was duplicative, but what are some things that might have some real impact? And in my mind, just for the public's benefit, I sort of view the ARPA funds into different segments. Clearly, one of the segments should be pressing county needs that we might not otherwise have the funding to do, ways that we can make our departments more efficient and effective going forward. That certainly hits the top of my list. Another solid percentage of the total ARPA funds, in my mind, should have some return on investment, and that's a rare thing in government. But the reason that I think that that's so important is that just as the example that Luke brought today, and I'm not set on the number either. We can look at their application, figure out wherever the board's at on it. But in that example today, there was about a 10-year, a little less than 10-year payback of the funds. Even as TIFT, I'm not positive that it wouldn't be TIFT in some format after 10 years, but so I didn't get too excited to see the 1.2. I understand how things work, but with a 10-year payback, then after that, it's generating, even as it stands, you know, $200,000 extra dollars of county dollars. And that's impactful. As we were looking earlier at how do we fund a comprehensive land use plan for the county, that's about $200,000. Well, that's an easier decision for a future board when you have done some of these things. So I really think that some portion of the ARPA funds should be, and I'm going to push for it, used to do some economic development that's impactful and meaningful. And then lastly, I think that there's just some ways to provide some flexibility for budgets. I know that the Justice Center has a list of things that would fall under public safety, and I'm going to tell you, when we get the list and see the list, I'm going to be encouraging the board to fund things like the metal detector with ARPA funds. Otherwise, it's going to come from a debt levy. So there's, you know, those are sort of my big three. But mixed in with that, I did notice that a lot of the language in there was talking about the less fortunate, the disadvantaged. There was a lot of environmental aspects to it. There's some partnerships that I think are available with nonprofits, and so I think we can actually do some human good as well with some of those funds. But I look forward to that process. I think that applications are already coming. I know the sheriff has now generated some numbers. I spent some time with the county attorney. I spent some time with the conservation director. And I'll just tell you this: he is looking for, and there's a lot of flexibility with the allowable uses and conservation, but he's, I won't say struggling, but he is focused on ways to improve the Great Western Trail that has quite a significant price tag with limited ways to really fund it. And so, you know, I'd like the board to try to think on that and figure out some ways that we can help address some of the trails that we have within research. So spend a little time with him. I will meet with our health director at some point this week as well, because between health, sheriff, county attorney, conservation, those would be the big four that I envision from county requests. I would also say that I think that you know, admin building, I think there might be some efficiencies that we can have some return for maintenance as well. I think that there might be some aspects that we can maybe check a project or two off that might otherwise not get done. So but that's how I look at it. I'm not saying that's the right way, that's just so everyone knows that's how I do it. So with that, public input. Is there anyone from the public or online who would like to comment? All right. Easy enough. Our next meeting will be held December 21st. It'll be our last formal meeting of the year. That is going to be held at 6 p.m. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye, we're adjourned. Have a good day.